Hi, today we're going to be working on page 239 and 240 in your English books. The title of this lesson today is Comparing with ER and EST. If you go to the top of the page on the left-hand side, we're going to begin reading here. It says, adjectives can be used to compare two or more nouns or pronouns. Adverbs, though, can be used to compare two or more actions. An adverb compares an action, which is a verb. An adjective can be used to compare nouns, which is a person, place, or thing, or pronouns. Short adjectives and adverbs add an ER or an EST to compare two or more nouns or actions. Let's look at the first sentence. Whirlwinds are small spinning air columns. Nothing in this sentence is being compared at all. The spelling of the adjective small does not change. Let's look at the second sentence. The sky was redder today than yesterday. Two different skies are being compared here. Today's sky is compared to yesterday's sky. I'm going to move our paper up some, and in the next sentence right here it says, this sandstorm moved the fastest of all storms during the month of May. Fastest is an adverb that describes how fast the sandstorm moved compared to all the other storms during the month of May. If I go to the top of the page again on the right-hand side, we're going to talk about how the spelling of some adjectives can change when adding ER or EST. The spelling of most adverbs, though, do not change. When an adjective ends in a consonant plus a Y, for example, dusty, T would be a consonant and the Y. You change the Y to an I and you add ER or EST. So in this sentence, it's that whirlwind was dustier than the one on Monday. When an adjective ends with an E, you drop that E and you add an ER or an EST. A tornado wind picked up larger items than a gusnado does. So in this sentence, basically the rule is saying the word large is L-A-R-G-E. That's where you would drop the E and add an ER, or drop the E and add an EST. All right, the next rule, it says when an adjective has only one vowel and ends in a consonant, for example, hot, H-O-T, one vowel ends with a consonant, you double that final consonant before you add the ER or the EST. So we're going to look at a few examples of those rules right here. Strange, that would be the rule that ends with an E, so you would drop the E and add ER, or drop the E and add EST. And then the next one, wet, that would be an example of the rule where you have one vowel and the word ends with a consonant. So you would double the consonant before you add ER when you're comparing two things. You would double the consonant and add EST when you're comparing more than two things, like three or more things. So let's look at number 3, cold. You would just add an ER, and then you would, for coldest, you would write EST in this word. So the next section says, underline the correct adjective or adverb. So you got to pay attention. Are you comparing two things? If you're comparing two things, then it's going to end with an ER. And if you're comparing more than two things, it's going to end in an EST. You guys did another worksheet recently that was very, very close to this same page today that we're working on. So number 4, landspouts are stronger or strongest than gusnados. Well, you're only comparing two things here, so it's gonna end with an ER. Number 5, today the skies are the redder or reddest during the afternoon. Well, you're comparing the skies of that whole afternoon. So it's going to be the reddest because it's more than 2 different skies. It's the skies of all that whole afternoon. So it's going to be an EST because it's 3 or more than 2. Number 6, the air was clearer or clearest today than it was yesterday. Well, in this sentence, you're only comparing 2 things. The air from yesterday compared to today, so it's going to be an ER ending. Number 7, whirlwinds throw sand higher or highest than normal winds. Well, again, in this sentence, you're only comparing 2 things, so it's going to be an ER comparison. Number 8, the whirlwinds came earlier or earliest than the storm. Again, in this sentence, you're only comparing 2 things. The whirlwinds came earlier than the storm. So you're comparing the whirlwinds to the storm. So it's an ER ending. So let's flip over to page 240. At the top, you're going to do that same kind of assignment right here where you have to look at, I'm going to give you some hints on this section though. Number 1, it ends with a Y, and the rule on the front side of this page said if it ends with a Y, you change that Y to an I before you add an ER, and you change that Y to an I before you add an EST. So basically everything in this first column is going to have an ER ending, and everything in this column is going to have an EST ending. So you're going to write heavier, and you're going to write heaviest right here. But don't forget to change that Y to an I before you add that ER and EST. Number 2, large. Well, this rule would be the one where it says you drop the E, you drop the E and then you add ER, or you drop the E and you add EST. So it's going to be LARGER. It's going to be LARGEST right here. Number 3, what kind of rule is this? Well, this is going to be that rule, remember, where you have one vowel in the word and then it ends with a consonant. So you're going to double that consonant before you add your ER, and you're going to double that consonant before you add your EST. The next section, number 4 through 9, says underline the correct adjective or adverb. Make sure, are you comparing 2 things? If you're comparing 2 things, it's going to end with an ER. If you're comparing more than 2 things, then it's going to be in EST. And some clues right here. Let's look at number 5. If it says of all, well, if all, that's a big clue that it's going to be more than 2 things. Let's look for another one. Well, let's look at number 4. Waterspouts are damper or dampest than sandy whirlwinds. Well, there you're only comparing 2 things. So that's going to be an ER ending. So we'll go ahead and underline that one right here. So that's how you do that section 4 through 9. And then section 10 through 14, you write the correct adjective or adverb. Now, make sure that this blue word that's in parentheses right here, it has to be a form of that verb. If you look at the definitions, it says that. It says write the correct adjective or adverb form. It has to be that word. So that's why I've written this one right here. It is safer indoors than outdoors during a sandstorm. So you're comparing the indoors to the outdoors. So that's why you have an ER ending. So that's how you do 10 through 14. You are excused from the applying right today. So I hope you guys had a good day or have a good day. And if you have any questions, just send me an email or a Dojo message. Thanks.